Okay, hello everybody and welcome to Art with Mr. G. Today we are going to be working on a barn quilt. Barn quilts are a quilted looking painting that's painted on a piece of wood, and then the big ones that people make are mounted on barns. A woman in Ohio named Donna Sue Groves painted one in 2001 and put it on her barn in honor of her mother, and it caught on and she started making more for everybody in the county. And now in Ohio there's a big barn quilt trail that you can go on. There's also some up in Shawano, Wisconsin that you can go and see a ton of them. And even in our area there's quite a few popping up on people's barns in the countryside. So it's a really cool thing, and I'm going to teach you everything I know. I learned everything I know from a woman named Grandma Sue, who's in our community, and she's been teaching people and been doing barn quilts for quite a while, and she's great at it, and she's got a couple granddaughters in the school district, and so they call her Grandma Sue. So shout out to Grandma Sue. Let me go ahead and say hi. How's everybody doing? It's Mr. Grunman. It's a beautiful day, and let's get started. I'm going to teach you everything I know about barn quilts. I've done this with my art clubs, so it's usually 5th graders and 6th graders. So it's for older kids. If you're younger or even whatever age you are, you should probably work with your parents. This is a project that takes hours. You can't get this done right away. This is a really cool thing that I know that some families have put these above their mantle or on the wall, and it's just a beautiful piece of art that will last forever. So this is one that I use with a sunflower pattern. If you look up barn quilt patterns on the computer, you will find hundreds of different patterns. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to choose a pattern, and then you're going to lay it out. Now I usually lay it out on a piece of paper. So this is a piece of paper that I made a pattern. This is a different pattern than the sunflower. You can see it doesn't have a square in the middle, so it's a little different. This is like a pinwheel pattern, and I wanted to do one that was a little bit more artsy with lots of different colors. So this one's not going to have a pattern of colors like this one does. This one's more symmetrical, where it's got colors laid out in a pattern to make it look like a flower. This one's going to have random colors all over, so it's going to be kind of like a color wheel type barn quilt. So I started using markers and colored this one in just so I could get an idea. So here's the first step. First step, you're going to get a piece of plywood, and they'll cut it for you at Home Depot or wherever you might buy this. This one, you can see the thickness, it's pretty thick. It's 3/4 inch. The one that I've got here that I'm going to start on, this is about 1/2 inch. So it's a little thinner. I don't know if you can see that. You don't have to go with the thickest piece. So this one, first step is after you sand this and make it smooth, you're going to put a coat of what's called primer on it. Most of the time primer is white, but I found some gray primer, so I primed this one with gray. So primer just protects the wood, and it gives you a nice start to paint on, to paint over. So then you're going to get a marker or a pencil, and you're going to lay out the design. So I'm just going to connect the corners, because this is the way my pattern works. See, it's got a line that goes all the way down the diagonal there and there. So I'm going to do that. I don't even have to measure anything. I just use a long ruler or straight edge, and I make those 2 lines. And then it also has the lines going straight, horizontal, and vertical. So I'm going to do that as well. Just lay that out. Just like that. hold down the straight edge with more than one finger so it doesn't move on you. And then we've got some more lines that go in the middle. So how do you find the middle? Well, if you connect diagonally from one corner to the other corner, that'll show you where the middle is. The middle is going to be right there. So if I'm going to find the middle on all of these, I'm just going to go around and just mark the middle, connecting the diagonal. And the last one's going to be here. I'm going to try to do this fast because I like to keep my YouTube videos about 15 minutes or less, just so I don't lose your concentration too much. So you lay this out. Rotate it. And we're going to do this. This is kind of a... Oh, did I do that wrong? I don't know. Let's see. Connect those lines. So the first thing you're doing is you're laying out the pattern, just drawing it in like so. Okay, so getting a pinwheel pattern here, and then it looks like these have to go all the way through. And then the last thing I'll do for this pattern is a diagonal. It's a diagonal line from there to there. So I do that on all four. So I just connect that like this. And this one goes here. And this one goes here. And the last one goes here. So there's my pattern. And now what you have to do to paint these in is you want to get perfect lines. So you're going to use masking tape. And the best tape that I've found for this, and this was recommended to me by my mentor, Grandma Sue, she says use frog tape. So frog tape is this green masking tape. There's also blue painter's tape, and that works pretty well, but the frog tape works the best. So you put that edge right on the edge, and then you do that with all four sides, or however many sides there are. It might be a triangle, it might only have 3 sides. You got to be really careful with this because you want to be real precise. So you do your best to lay that out and just make sure that edge is down there tight, and that way the paint, when you paint it, it won't seep underneath, and it'll be a nice, straight, perfect line. So you're going to do that with all of your sides. And I'm just going to do one shape for this one today, because we're already halfway done. This takes time, like I said. You got to be patient, because it takes a lot of time to do this. That one's not so good. Let me start that one again. Let's try that again. Okay, so I've got the edges glued down, or taped down. Now, here's the type of paint that I like to use. This is called Behr Premium Plus, Interior, Exterior, and these are color samples that you can get at Home Depot for about $5. I got this one for 50 cents because this was on their Oops paint. It's one that people returned. And this is a kind of a cool turquoise color. So I'm going to shake that up. And we're going to open it up. It's a pretty color. It looks like robin's egg blue. It's a nice light turquoise. Now, these brushes here, these are sponge brushes. This works perfect for this project. So if you can get some sponge brushes, that would be awesome. I skipped a step. This, the primer that I put on, I just used what is called a chip brush. This is a 2-inch chip brush. It's 2 inches from here to there. And I call it a cheap brush because it's about 75 cents. I use these for almost everything. I stain things with this, but it's a really good, easy brush to put a coat of primer on. So then, when you're ready and you've got this all masked off the way you want it, you dip, you only need a little bit, okay? And then when you paint it, you don't wipe it, you just do a little bit of dabbing. So you just dab this. And usually it takes about 2 coats. So what I'll do is I'll dab on 1 coat and I'll let it dry. If you have a hair dryer or a blow dryer, that helps because it'll dry a little bit faster. You don't want to put this on too thick. That's a mistake that a lot of people do. They'll put this on way too thick. And then you'll have what's called a blister because it'll dry on the top of the paint, but the inside of the bubble of paint will still be wet. So you don't want to do, it's better to do several very, very short, thin coats than it is to do one big thick coat. Some people, they just want to work fast and they just want to get it done, so they do a thick coat. I like to do a little thin coat like this. And this actually might work just with 1 coat. But I like to do 2 just to be sure. So once that dries, and we're going to pretend that that's drying, but it's usually going to take about 5 or 10 minutes to dry on its own. But if you use a blow dryer, it dries a lot faster. So then you'll do a second coat. And you dab that on there like that. And I'm just gonna, again, I'm gonna speed up because we just don't have time. With this, again, with my art club, we usually take about 5 classes, which is they're an hour long each. So it takes a long time to do this project, but it turns out amazing when it's done. So then, when you're done, if you really carefully, I'm gonna get the paint out of the way, if you really carefully peel off your frog tape, and again, this is usually got wet paint on it, so you got to be careful where you put it. You want to have a garbage nearby. Put it in the garbage, and then again, if you peel it away from the paint, it works better, and it leaves a nice sharp edge. Now this one right there, I must have had a little bit of a gap underneath there. You can go back and you can touch up these things later. So that's just 1 done. And if you count them, there's a lot more. There's probably about 30 different shapes that I'm gonna have to do. So it's a long process, but as you go along, you know, it starts to look really, really awesome. So I'm gonna put this one aside. I'm gonna come back to this later and mask off some other ones and do other colors. But I'm going to show you one that I'm kind of almost done with. Here's one that I've masked off 4 areas here. And with this, what I've done is I didn't have this color on my, my Behr paints. So I'm just using regular acrylic. And you can get away with using some other things. They don't. I've seen people do this with acrylic paint. Those little craft paints that you can get at Walmart for like $1 each or even less. That'll work as well. So now this one you're gonna see when I put this on. This is definitely one that you need more than 1 coat because you can see this is the same paint that I used here and here, and it's definitely not going on as dark. So I'm going to do all 4 of these with my first coat. And then I'm going to let it dry, and then I'm going to come back and do a second coat. So this one is almost done. I'm doing this one for my Aunt Susie. So shout out to Aunt Susie. She likes to decorate her house with a lot of red, white, and blue, like Americana type stuff. So I thought this would be a great one for her to hang on her wall. So you just, like I said, just dab that on there. Make sure you get all the sides real good. And then you're just going to let it dry. And then you got to be patient. You can come back. You can work on more than one at a time. Like I said, moms, dads can help out. This is a really great project. There was one of my favorite students just posted one on Facebook that she made for their chicken coop. And she put a really cool one on there. Caitlin. Shout out to Caitlin. And it turned out really, really awesome. She used some really cool colors on that. So I'm going to have to let that dry, and I'm going to come back to it. So this one's going to be done for Aunt Susie pretty soon. When this is all done and everything looks good, I'm going to put a coat of polyurethane on it. So polyurethane looks like this. This is a can of polyurethane, clear satin. I would use actually clear gloss. Gloss is going to be shinier. It's going to make everything, the colors pop out. I have a spray can of that somewhere that you can use a spray can as well. So again, this is Minwax. There's other ones that work really well, but just make sure it's polyurethane, and that's going to protect it. If you put it outside, you will have it protected against the rain. Over many, many years, it's probably still going to get weathered because, especially here in Wisconsin, there's not too much you can do about protecting something from our harsh winters and rain and snow and everything. So this again is my only one that I've got 100% completed. This is a sunflower. I love it. It's got, you can see the shininess on there. That's the gloss polyurethane. You can see that reflected in there. So that's going to last a long, long time. And I have this one in my art room at school. And let's see, I don't know if I'm missing anything. I think I've covered everything. If you have any questions, let me know. Email me or contact me in some way, and I can definitely answer any questions for you. Otherwise, have a blast making this barn quilt. Make a few of them. Mom, Dad, brothers and sisters can make them as well. I hope you guys have a great weekend. The weather's starting to get nicer. Hopefully we can get out and take a walk and keep creating art. Bye-bye.